What's up, petrolheads? I'm Tony, and welcome to my debut video. And speaking of debuts, at the time of filming, we just witnessed some unbelievable debuts at the Australian Grand Prix this past weekend, and I'm hyped to see what these young talents will have in store for us in Shanghai this weekend. That's another video for another day. Today, we're talking about what happened the weekend before the Australian Grand Prix, the release of the 7th season of Netflix's documentary series Drive to Survive. Drive to Survive was a project brought to life by Formula One and Netflix to combat falling viewership numbers in 2018. With Formula One's most popular journalist, Will Buxton, at the helm, the first season released in March 2019, covering the 2018 season, Drive to Survive is a great avenue to get into the sport. It teaches you about the drivers' personalities and how they are as a person, and also the team that stands with them in the thick of a Formula One season. The show also documents the events through a season from the points of view of the 20 drivers or 10 teams that make up the Formula One grid. This is a great way to see the rivalries and storylines of a season. It also allows drivers and team principals to open up about the pressure of being one of the top 20 drivers in the world or the 10 men that run the most prestigious racing teams in motorsport. You'd think this is a great way to gain insight on a season you haven't seen, right? Well, Drive to Survive is still a show, a reality show if you will, and all reality shows actually reality. Netflix still has to make its money, and they still have to stir the pot somehow, so if you ask some older fans about the sport, they would say how much they hate Drive to Survive, how much it's ruined the sport with its inaccuracies. Let's take a look at Season 7 and how it covers the 2024 Formula One season. The show goes through the season as a storyline, but they also jump around if they're analyzing two different teams throughout, let's say, the same 5 race weekends, so I'll be jumping around a bit like them. Now that we're all done with that, let's jump right in. Netflix left out some major plot points that happened over the season. One in particular was the driver change that went down at Williams Racing. In 2023, we got 3 rookies that joined the grid. Oscar Piastri down at McLaren, Nick De Vries down at AlphaTauri, and American favorite Logan Sargent at Williams. Sargent had suffered a tough season in Williams where he was quite crash-prone and had struggled to bring home points to the team, only registering a single point to his teammate Alex Albon's 27. 2024 seemed like it was on the same trajectory as the previous campaign. At the Japanese Grand Prix, Logan dipped a wheel into the wet grass during the first practice session and ended up in the walls of Suzuka. Later in the weekend, his teammate Alex Albon smashed the wall, destroying his Williams FW46 and made it unrepairable for the race. Team principal James Vowles had made a choice that Alex Albon would take Sargent's chassis for the Grand Prix and Sargent would sit out. This showed Vowles' already dwindled confidence in the American. A few races later at his home race, the Miami Grand Prix, about halfway through the race, Sargent collided with the Haas of Kevin Magnussen and ended his race with another costly crash. A few races after that, still in the North American leg of the season, at the Canadian Grand Prix, which, not to brag, I was at, but Sargent was foiled by the rainy conditions and smashed into the wall on the 26th lap of the race. And guess what? Netflix covered 0% of this. Nada. Not even when they showed parts of races that were red flagged because of him in other episodes, they didn't even show him. Now, the most important crash and event that Netflix missed was his crash at Zandvoort. Just like in Japan, Sargent had dipped a wheel into the wet grass, which sent his Williams into a nasty nose spin, where he collided with the barriers at a tremendous speed, promptly forcing his engine to burst into flames. As he jumped out, he made this badass picture, but it came with a heavy cost. After the Dutch Grand Prix, Williams announced that they will part ways with Logan Sargent, effectively sacking him in the middle of the season. Following that announcement, Williams released another one saying that they'll be pulling up Argentine driver Franco Colapinto from Formula 2 where he was competing that season. In Franco's first race at the Italian Grand Prix, he finished P12, only 20 seconds off his new teammate Alex Albon. In his second race at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at the Baku City Circuit, which is considered one of the calendar's hardest circuits, he finished P8, right behind his teammate, scoring 4 points. Colapinto scored more points in 2 races than Sargent did in 37. 3 huge race weekends with huge announcements and events happening at Williams, and absolutely none of it was covered by Netflix. We don't hear a lick of it. Colapinto brought in thousands of South American fans, and they, along with myself, would have loved to see him in Drive to Survive. He's a fresh face with a great personality, and I think Netflix missed a big opportunity there. Now, my next criticism of Netflix's coverage was in the 3rd episode titled Looking Out for Number 1. This episode covers Mercedes-AMG, who have suffered a massive loss in their lead driver, 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, as he announced that he's moving to Ferrari ahead of his 2024 season. Team principal Toto Wolff is tasked with finding George Russell's new teammate, and George Russell is tasked with stepping up as the number 1 driver to lead Mercedes for the future. The episode highlights George Russell's misfortunes with the current ground effect regulations that have come in the 2022 season. Despite winning the Austrian Grand Prix a few races prior due to leader Max Verstappen and second place Lando Norris colliding for the lead, Georgia Mercedes were set up to have a really tough season after the first few rounds showed them to struggle to hit the podium. We move to the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa, where the episode sets up that he really needs this win to cement himself as the new #1 driver and leader of the team after Hamilton departs. We have this big, huge setup, and we get to the race, and George Russell decides to pull a one-stop strategy after the second round of pit stops leave him in the lead. He brings it home and takes the win, and he's so happy and confident with his future in the team. They have the podium ceremony, and all is well in the world. And then the episode ends. What's the problem with this? Shortly after the race, Russell was disqualified from it. The FIA found that his car was 2 kilos underweight, just disqualifying him from the race and promoting his teammate Lewis Hamilton to the win. Mercedes still had the win, but it wasn't Russell. The huge thing to leave out of the episode, it created a media fiasco. I understand. I mean, he did still cross the line first, and the team fumbled him, so some would say that in their hearts, he still won. And he still got the confidence boost in himself and the team, and that's fine, but it's still just a huge thing to leave out. If you were just a casual fan who only watched the show, you'd have no idea what that weekend was really like. Last but not least, we have the splicing of video clips. In the second episode titled Frenemies, Netflix covers Lando Norris' first win in Formula One at the Miami Grand Prix after 5 seasons and 15 podiums of not reaching the top step. Which, back to Logan Sargent, his crash literally brought out the safety car that gave Norris this win. But we don't see any of that, but that's besides the point. Netflix shows this clip of the cool-down room. Look at how sour Verstappen is. He's so upset and distraught, and oh, that's a cool hat he's wearing. I wonder what it's called. The 2024 Zandvoort race special? Why would Max be wearing that in Miami? That race is in like 2 months. That's because this clip is from Zandvoort, where Lando Norris beat Max Verstappen at his home race. That's why he's upset. Max and Lando were great friends, and he was extremely happy for him finally getting his first win, even congratulating him in the cool-down room. Lando hit back at Netflix saying how it's almost lying to the fans when Netflix does this. Max himself even said that was one of the best nights of his life. Many drivers have come out against Netflix and the way that they twist the season and the narratives. If you guys want to see my take on those and the other very important events that Netflix left on the chopping block, let me know and I'll make another video. Thank you all so much for watching. I had a lot of fun making this video, so I hope you enjoyed. I love you all, and of course, Forza Ferrari.